So we're going to start looking at quadratic formulas, or how to make questions similar to quadratics. So this first one should be instantly recognizable. So if I was to set this equal to 0, in fact I'm going to do that for all these questions and then we can actually solve the quadratics. We can use our method of factoring for this one. So two numbers at times to make 8, I guess negative 8, and then subtract to make 2. That's going to give us x plus 4, x minus 2. And then we can take the answers from here, negative 4 and positive 2. Now this one looks similar. Notice I've chosen the same coefficients here, but the difference is I've made this x to the 4. So one of the things with factoring is we choose x and x here because x times x gives us x squared. So there should be a similar trick we can use with this. So it should be x squared times by x squared, because that will give us x to the 4th. The number should be exactly the same. So I get 4x squared minus 2x squared, which indeed gives us 2x squared, and 4 times negative 2 gives you negative 8. Now when we come to solve this one, I'm probably going to need a little bit more room here. X squared plus 4 equals 0. If I bring the 4 to the other side, that would mean x squared equals negative 4. And for the time being, we're going to say no solution to that one, even though from algebra 2 we probably know the answer to that is plus or minus 2i. When we solve this one, we get x squared equals 2. And for that, there's two solutions. X equals radical 2 and x equals negative radical 2. When we come to this one looks rather strange because we've got a radical in here as well. So that looks rather different to this. Notice I've actually chosen, if I add the 2 here, then I've got the same sort of question with the coefficients. So same idea, what do I times by itself to give me x? So that's actually going to be radical x, which is convenient because that's one of our terms here as well. So same coefficients, plus 4, take away 2, and you can check by using FOIL. This is going to give you x. This is going to give you x minus 2 radical x plus 4 radical x will give us this term, and then 4 times negative 2 gives us negative 8. Then we can solve each of these separately. So when does this equal 0? And then if I square both sides, I'll get x equals 16. Now, with all these questions, you should always substitute back just to check to make sure you do get a valid solution here. So 16 plus 2 times radical 16, which would be 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. 16 plus 8 minus 8 equals 0. That's actually not a true statement, so this would actually be an extraneous solution here. And the reason we get an extraneous solution is we've got a radical and it equals something that's negative, which we're not going to do right now. That's not going to be a real number. Now if we solve this one, radical x minus 2 equals 0. Bring the negative 2 to the other side, we get positive 2. And then if we square both sides, we're going to end up with 4. Now if we check 4 as a solution for this one, 4 plus 2 times radical 4, that's 2 times 2, which is 4. So 4 plus 4 minus 8 does indeed equal 0. So that would give us a correct solution for this one. So actually our solution to this one is just simply x equals 4. Now you should also check with your other answers that we had for those questions, plug those back in just to make sure they work. Particularly ones with radicals, you've got to be very careful to check, make sure there isn't an extraneous solution, to make sure we're not doing the square root of anything that's negative.